But first, today is the end of the eviction moratorium, which prevented property owners from evicting tenants suffering financial strain because of COVID-19. But what is the recourse for property owners who had destructive tenants while under that moratorium? 17's Marco Torres spoke with one property owner about her harrowing experience. Marco?
Property owners aren't always big corporations. They can be mothers, fathers, or senior citizens who need the income from your rent to pay their bills. The moratorium didn't mean tenants don't have to pay their rent. It's essentially an IOU from tenants. They needed to pay 25% of their back rent today to avoid being evicted. Then, tenants have to pay the rest they owe over the mutually agreed time. Meanwhile, most landlords have their own bills to pay, sometimes including mortgage payments.
It was the smell, strong, even putrid. The whole house was saturated in this heavy scent. Within minutes, a headache banged in my head like a hammer hitting a nail. But the stench paled in comparison to the sight inside. The home was mangled, a gutted shell of what once was a beautiful interior. Broken windows, busted doors and cabinets, scarred walls, holes as big as hands, and a mysterious dark mold growing in the bathroom. Owner Cheryl Marchman says she's been living a nightmare.
All these $100 add up real quick to thousands. Overall, all the cleanup, all the appliances, all the window coverings, all the light socket, all the electrical damage, and some of the plumbing. I mean, we're hitting right at $50,000, possibly more.
Marchman rented the 3-bedroom home to her tenant for 4 years for $1,200 a month. Marchman says her tenant was a single mother and worked full-time. Marchman says she wanted to help the mother by charging her low rent. A few months ago, the tenant stopped paying rent and tried to seek refuge with the eviction moratorium, even though Marchman says the tenant had a full-time position in the medical field. We reached out to the tenant and her lawyer at the Greater Bakersfield Legal Assistance, the GBLA, but they wouldn't talk to us.
It's just deliberate, malicious acts of just being hateful and mean. I just want her held accountable for what she's done.
Vaughn Desi, the real estate attorney representing Marchman, says it's taken months of preparation, even with the damages, to get the tenant out. Marchman and Desi were forced to wait to evict the tenant because of the eviction moratorium. They asked the tenant to leave multiple times.
The tenant would not move. Mrs. Marchman wanted to take that property off the rental market to actually incorporate it into a family situation they had going.
According to Desi, the tenant's attorney said the tenant needed time to finalize new living arrangements.
It's supposed to turn over keys on a specific date, and also pay some monies by cashier's check, I believe it was, to our office for the additional time that she was being given to stay in the property. She failed to do either one.
This default allowed Marchman and Desi to evict the tenant. Now, Marchman plans to file a civil lawsuit against the tenant for all of the damages. Marchman is a wife, a mother, and a grandmother.
I don't have that money. I have to borrow it, and that means I have to pay it back because of her, which is wrong.
But even if Marchman wins a lawsuit, there's a chance she won't get anything if the tenant isn't willing or able to pay.
Another cost, cha-ching, cha-ching, cha-ching.
The home was intended to be for Marchman's children and grandchildren. Marchman got a loan, and she and the rest of her family worked to replace and repair what was once supposed to be the castle to their budding family.
Just, I don't know. We're a little bit overwhelmed. It's going to be rough, but we'll make it through it.
The eviction moratorium didn't protect tenants when they committed crimes or violate other agreements within the lease. The courts are expected to be crowded with cases from property owners now that the moratorium is over. Whether they will be able to collect their money is unknown. In studio, Marco Torres, 17 News.
Wow, what a nightmare. Okay, Marco.